Once you've got a character animating nicely, it can be quite difficult to then animate the individual body parts by using the techniques that we've looked at already. For example, if I want to move the hand and I try and do it using the technique that we used, you'll see that because the character is moving, it's quite hard to control that hand. So instead of doing that, we're going to use a different technique. And that's to use a layer adjuster. So I've got a layer here, and this is a null layer. I'm just going to switch on my view options so that you can see that. And there we see our null layer. So I'm going to start by positioning the null layer. I'm going to grab my move tool and just position it roughly where I want it to start the animation for the hand. And then I'm going to have a little practice moving where I want that hand to move. I'm going to use Motion Sketch to record the motion that I make with my pen. Now I've got a Wacom tablet, and that allows me to do really nice, precise movement because it's got multiple levels of sensitivity. So if I use that with Motion Sketch, it's a little bit better than using just the mouse. So I'm going to open up Motion Sketch. I've got my adjuster selected. I'm going to click on Start Capture, and I'm just going to do some nice, smooth movement. Now you'll notice that as I do that, the background disappears, so I'm just going to switch that on before I click Start Capture. Okay, and now I'm going to just put in that nice movement. Don't need to worry too much about timing because I can always re-time it afterwards. But I just want to get that nice kind of swinging feeling. Once I've got that, I hit P on the keyboard to open up the position values. And if I want to smooth it, I could do something like Command click on the keyframe just to change it to Auto Bezier. And now I'm going to add an expression which will take the position value from here and apply it to here. So I'm just going to drag the pick whip from here to here, and that writes an expression for me. Okay, the hand movement is okay, but look what's happened to the elbow. The elbow's not right. So what I'm going to do is, first of all, just apply this to the other hand, and I'll show you why in a second. So I'm going to just drag the pick whip up, link it to position. So both the hands are now moving into the same position. Okay, bear with me. I'm then going to select the elbows. So let's open up the elbows. Okay, and I'm going to do exactly the same with them. So I'm going to drag the position value up to here for both of those. Now obviously this is just going to look weird because both the hands and the elbows are going to exactly the same place. But what we're going to do is just adjust those expressions. So with this layer selected, I'm going to double hit the E key, and that opens up my expressions. Now at the moment they're all exactly the same, but I can make adjustments to these. Now I could do it manually just by entering numbers, but what I'm going to do is with my adjuster I'm going to add an effect, and you'll see I've already added some in here. These are my point controls that I'm going to use to adjust these different parts. So I'm going to call this one left hand, I'm going to call this one right hand, I'm going to call this one left elbow, and then this one right elbow. And the way that we're going to do that, first of all, is lock our expression control panel, and then I'm going to place my cursor after the left hand expression and just type in plus and then drag up to the left hand point control. Okay, now at the moment that's at 0, so you won't see any changes, but we're going to continue doing that. Okay, so now all I need to do is, if I want to adjust the right hand, I can just adjust it using these values. Okay, so I think that one should go there. That one should go over there somewhere. And then we also need to adjust the elbows. So we'll do that elbow there, that hand there. And I'm going to move the elbow, oops, that's the hand. I'm going to move the elbow up a little bit as well. Okay, and it's keeping it relative to the animation. So let's just move that elbow over there, and we want the right hand to be over there. That's it. And the elbow will go up a little bit and maybe back a little bit. Okay. Now it will still have the same movement, but you'll see it's just adjusted a little bit. Now all of them need to move back a little bit, I think. So what we're going to do is just move to where it's an issue, so about here. And that will just give me a chance just to reposition each of those. So there's that, there's that. That needs to move down, hand to there, and that hand to there. Okay, so it needs a little bit of tweaking. So the other thing we can do is go up here to our adjuster layer in the graph editor, and then we can adjust these values. So for example, if I think the X values are too high, I want to separate the X and the Y dimensions. And that's so that I can go into my X position and I can just adjust the top and the bottom values. If I hold down the Command key, as I adjust, you'll notice it's adjusting the top and bottom values there. And if I want to move it, I can just drag that whole box up or down. So making an adjustment to the keyframes in the graph editor is much, much easier than trying to do it in normal keyframe view. Okay, so using a combination of expressions and the graph editor, you can really get a lot of control over your character.